I was driving alone through rural Pennsylvania, trying to make it home before midnight. The GPS lost signal somewhere after the last gas station. The road became darker, narrower, and completely empty. I kept checking the clock, and each time I looked, the minutes felt wrong. It was 11:42 p.m. for far too long. Then, out of nowhere, a faded green highway sign appeared on the shoulder. It wasn't lit, it wasn't reflective, but it had one word on it: lodging. The arrow pointed toward a small exit I didn't remember passing before. I hesitated, but the gas gauge was sinking low. The air outside felt colder than it should. Still, I turned off the highway. The ramp led down into thick fog. A few seconds later, a small, old-fashioned hotel emerged from the haze. Its neon sign flickered weakly. It spelled out Pine Shadows Inn. One letter was missing, so it read Pine Shadow S Inn. The building itself didn't look abandoned, but it didn't look alive either. The parking lot was almost empty. Only one car was there, a single sedan covered in dust, and it looked like it hadn't moved in years. I parked near the entrance, keeping my engine running for a moment. The fog around the hotel felt thicker now, like it was waiting. I grabbed my bag and walked toward the lobby. The glass door opened with a long, dragging creak. Inside, the air smelled stale, like old carpets and something faintly metallic. The lobby lights flickered overhead. A bell sat on the counter, tarnished and dented. I tapped it once. The sound echoed way too long for such a small room. A figure stepped out from the back office. It was a man. Tall, thin, dressed in an outdated suit that looked like it belonged to another decade. His skin was pale, almost gray under the fluorescent lights. He smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. "Welcome to Pine Shadows," he said. His voice was soft but uncomfortably flat. I told him I needed a room for the night. He nodded slowly, like he was processing each word one at a time. "You're lucky," he said. "We usually aren't open after midnight." I glanced at the lobby clock. It read 11:42 p.m., the exact time that had been frozen on my dashboard earlier. He slid an old-fashioned key across the counter. Not a key card, a real metal key with a chipped wooden tag. "Room 9, he said. Then he added, "Don't wander. Hallways change at night." I let out a nervous laugh. He didn't laugh back. Not even a smile, just a stare. A long, heavy stare. The kind that made the hairs on my neck lift. I grabbed the key, thanked him, and headed toward the hallway. I could feel his eyes on my back until I turned the corner. The hallway smelled like damp wood and cold dust. The carpet was faded, patterned with swirling shapes that seemed to shift when I wasn't looking directly at them. The overhead lights buzzed with a low, irritating hum. I walked slowly, counting the doors as I passed. Room 3, Room 5, Room 7, all the odd-numbered rooms, all spaced too far apart, like the hallway was stretching between each one. When I reached Room 9, I stopped. The door looked older than the others. The paint was peeling. The brass number was tarnished and slightly crooked. I put the key into the lock. It turned with a loud, grinding click. Before I pushed the door open, I heard something behind me. A soft shuffle, like bare feet dragging across carpet. I turned around. The hallway was empty, but something was different. The door numbers, they were changing. Room 7 was now Room 11. Room 3 was now Room 15. The carpet pattern shifted again, bending inward like it was breathing. I blinked. The numbers changed back. Just like that. I tried to tell myself it was the lighting, or my tired eyes, or the pressure of the drive. But the air felt heavier now, thicker, like the hallway was waiting for something. I stepped into Room 9. I locked the door behind me immediately. The instant the bolt slid shut, the hallway's buzzing hum went silent. Completely silent, like the entire building exhaled, or listened. I turned around and froze. There was something written on the wall above the bed. Not carved, not painted, smeared, in long, uneven strokes. It read, "Don't trust the man in the lobby." My heart dropped into my stomach. Because the writing looked fresh, still wet, still dripping. I stepped back toward the door. Then I heard it. A knock. But not from the hallway. From inside the room's bathroom. Slow, steady, deliberate. Like someone tapping a warning. Or asking to be let out. 3 knocks, then silence. I stared at the bathroom door. The knocking had stopped, but the silence it left behind felt worse, heavier, thicker, like the room was holding its breath. I took one slow step toward the door, then another. The air temperature dropped with every inch I moved closer. My fingertips tingled. My breath fogged faintly in front of me. The bathroom light was off, but something moved inside. I didn't see it with my eyes. I felt it, a presence shifting its weight on the other side of the thin wood. I stopped just inches from the door. I waited. Nothing. Then the doorknob twitched, just once. A tiny metallic click. I backed away instantly. My heel hit the side of the bed. I kept my eyes locked on the doorknob. It twitched again, then slowly began to turn. My heartbeat thudded in my throat. I reached for the room's main light switch. I flicked it on. The lights buzzed, flickered, and then dimmed to a low, unnatural glow. The bathroom knob froze in place, half turned, like someone's hand was still wrapped around it. I took another step back. The writing above the bed dripped again, a fresh, heavy drop sliding down the wall. The room felt alive, like it was watching me, studying me. I whispered, "Who's in there?" Silence. Then from behind the bathroom door, something whispered back. Soft, strained, male. Wrong room. My stomach flipped. I grabbed my bag, my keys, everything. I reached the door to the hallway and yanked it open. But the hallway wasn't the same hallway I had come from. It was shorter now, much shorter. Only 2 doors, room 7, room 9. Everything else was gone. The carpet was darker, the lights were dimmer, and at the far end, where the hallway should have continued, someone stood there, barely visible. Still, facing me, motionless, a silhouette, tall, thin, head tilted to the side. Like he'd been waiting. I stepped back into the room in a panic. The bathroom doorknob finally finished turning, and the door began to open. The bathroom door creaked open, slow, painfully slow. I pressed myself against the far wall, clutching my bag to my chest. The gap widened. Darkness spilled out first. Cold, thick, like a draft that shouldn't exist. The hinges groaned, and then nothing. The bathroom was empty, pitch black, but empty. No figure, no movement, no explanation. The only sound was my own heartbeat slamming against my ribs. I didn't trust it. Not for a second. I kept my distance. My eyes flicked toward the hallway. The silhouette at the end of the corridor hadn't moved, not an inch, not a breath. His head was still tilted. I swallowed hard. I whispered, "What do you want?" The figure didn't answer, but something in the bathroom did. 3 slow taps against the wall. Not knocking, more like fingernails dragging. Trying to get my attention, I snapped my head back toward the bathroom. Still empty, but the sound continued. Tap, 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 closer now, coming from just behind the doorframe. I stepped toward the hallway instead. Anything to get away from the bathroom. I peeked out again. The figure was gone. Vanished. No footsteps. No shadow. Just the dead end of the hallway staring back at me. My chest tightened. This place was wrong. Everything about it was wrong. I needed to get out. I stepped into the hallway. But the moment my foot crossed the threshold, every door in the hall slammed shut at the same exact second. The sound echoed like a gunshot. I spun around and tried to go back into room 8. The door was gone, not locked, not stuck. Gone. The wall was solid. Smooth wallpaper. No frame, no room, just a flat surface where the door should have been. My head started to spin. I stumbled backward until I hit something. A chest, a person-sized shape. Cold, unmoving. Behind me, I froze. Slowly, I turned around. There he was, the silhouette. But closer now. Right in front of me, I could see him clearly for the first time, a man in an old suit, soaking wet, skin pale and bloated like he'd been underwater too long. His eyes were cloudy white, his mouth hung open slightly, as if mid-breath. He leaned forward just an inch and whispered, "You checked in." Another step. "Now you can't leave." My legs went weak. The hallway lights flickered, then went out. One by one. Click, click, click. until only the bulb directly above me remained, barely glowing. The man lifted his hand, water dripped from his fingers. And then, his jaw unhinged, far wider than human. A wet crack echoed through the hallway. My vision blurred. I staggered backward, and the floor beneath me suddenly gave way. I fell, then, straight through darkness. I froze. The scratching sound was coming from behind the bathroom door, slow, dragging, deliberate, like something using its nails instead of hands. I stepped back. The lights flickered overhead. For a moment, everything went dark. Then the emergency red lights kicked on. The entire room turned blood-colored. My heartbeat synced with the pulsing lights. Another sound came from the bathroom, a low whisper. A voice, a woman's voice. It said my name, not once, but twice. I backed up until my legs hit the bed. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The bathroom door handle began to shake. Not violently, but slow, controlled, almost playful. Then it stopped. Silence filled the room like smoke. Thick, heavy, unnatural. I waited 1 second, 2, 3. Then the bathroom door clicked and began to open, inches at a time. I stared at the darkness inside, waiting for something to step out, something to crawl out, something to speak again. But nothing happened. Nothing moved. So I gathered the courage to whisper, "Who's there?" The darkness answered with a single soft breath. The breath coming from the bathroom was warm, too warm, like someone was inches from my face, but I was still standing several feet away. Nothing made sense. I took one step toward the open door. The air grew heavier, thicker, like walking into deep water. My ears began to ring, a high, piercing tone. Then the whispering returned. But this time, it wasn't a woman's voice. It sounded layered. Dozens of voices, all speaking at once, all saying the same thing. "Don't look inside." My chest tightened. My vision blurred at the edges. The hallway outside my room went silent. No guests, no footsteps, no hum of elevators. The hotel felt abandoned, completely empty, except for me, and whatever was in the bathroom. I reached for the light switch inside. My hands shook uncontrollably. I flicked the switch. Nothing happened. The bathroom stayed pitch black. Another whisper crawled out of the darkness. This one right in my ear. "You shouldn't have stayed in this room." My blood turned to ice. I spun around. Nobody was there. Then the door behind me slammed shut. Hard, violent, final. The room plunged into complete silence again. Until I heard it, a single footstep from inside the bathroom. The footstep echoed through the room, slow, heavy, deliberate. I froze in place. My breathing stopped. My heart felt like it forgot how to beat. Another footstep followed. Closer, much closer. The bathroom door creaked open by itself, just a few inches, enough for darkness to spill out like smoke. I whispered, "Who's in there?" My voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded small, weak, afraid. Something shifted inside the bathroom, a dragging sound, like someone pulling their feet across tile. Then a hand slipped out of the darkness, thin, gray, unnaturally long fingers. They curled around the edge of the door. Knuckles cracked loudly, skin stretched like wet paper. The whispering voices returned. All around me, inside my ears, inside my head, everywhere. "Don't run!" But my legs moved on their own. I stumbled backward, nearly tripped over my own suitcase. The bathroom door opened wider. The hand tightened around the frame. And then, another hand appeared beside it, followed by a face, half hidden, half in shadow. Two sunken eyes stared out at me, unblinking, cold, wrong. It tilted its head slowly and smiled. I didn't wait to see anything else. I bolted for the door, but as my hand reached the handle, it wouldn't turn. Something was holding it shut from the other side. The door wouldn't budge. I pulled harder. It stayed firmly locked. The whispering voices grew louder, confused, angry, urgent. I could feel the presence behind the bathroom door, heavy, pressing against the wood, hungry. I turned toward the window. It was small, high, and too far to reach. The hallway outside my room remained dead silent. No lights, no doors, no end. I ran to the bed, grabbed my bag, tried to find another exit. Then the floor beneath me groaned, a deep, hollow sound, like the hotel itself was breathing. The room shifted slightly, the walls stretched, the ceiling sank. The furniture moved an inch or two. The bathroom door opened fully now, pitch black inside, silent. I didn't look. I couldn't. I backed into the far corner. A voice whispered from the darkness, low, wet, almost pleased. You belong here now. The lights flickered violently, then went out, completely. I was alone, in total darkness, except for the sound of slow, deliberate breathing and the faint sound of footsteps moving closer. The footsteps stopped right in front of me. I could feel the heat of its presence, cold, yet suffocating. I tried to scream. No sound came out. Then the voices whispered all at once, laughing, crying, mocking. The bathroom door slammed shut, hard. Shaking the walls, the room trembled. The lights flickered once more, and then went out. I was plunged into total darkness. The air grew heavier, thicker. A hand touched my shoulder. I froze, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. A voice, deep and wet, whispered in my ear, "You can't leave." The lights flickered back on for an instant, and I saw it. The man from the bathroom, standing in the corner, smiling, tall, bloated, impossible. When I blinked and he was gone. The room looked normal again, but the air still pressed against my chest. I ran to the front door. It opened easily this time. I stumbled into the lobby. It was empty, silent. No reception desk, no staff. I ran to the parking lot. The car was still there, dusty, like it hadn't moved in years. I started the engine. The fog cleared slightly, and I saw the highway ahead. I drove fast, never looked back. But when I glanced in the rearview mirror, the hotel was gone. Nothing but an empty field. No sign it had ever existed. I never stopped driving that night. Not for food, not for sleep. And I've never returned to that highway again. I still don't know what I stayed in, or what almost kept me there forever. But sometimes I wake up at night, and I hear faint footsteps behind my bedroom door. If this story kept you watching, there's another real horror waiting for you. Click on the screen, and don't watch it alone.